Hey, how's it going everyone? In today's React tutorial, I will explain what the useState hook is and how to use the useState hook in React.js. As always, my name is Norbert, and with this being said, let's quickly get started because I want to install React first of all in a brand new project. So just create the empty folder and open up, just create the file. Toggle the terminal, tilde, control tilde, or command tilde, depending on if you are on a Mac or a PC, then mpx. Now remember, if you have created an empty folder, please do not use any kind of capital letters, only use lowercase letters. So let's go ahead and mpx and npx create react-app and dot, because I want to create it in this specific folder. If you want to give it a name, then go ahead and give it a name. Now, as long as this is installing, let me explain what the useState hook is. And I will take you through an example that is basically going from JavaScript to React, so you can really understand the difference and where this hook is actually useful. Now, before hooks, we had React with classes for ES6, for example. We're no longer, or there are still people who are using it. I hate using it. I love using functional programming. This is why I'm using, well, the latest version of React, and this React has hooks. And one of those hooks is useState. So useState is a hook, as I said, that allows you to have state variables in functional components. Or in other words, useState is the ability to encapsulate local information in your functional component. Okay, and this is going to get more clear just in a couple of minutes. So let's just get started with starting our application. So npm start, and there we go. There's our application. I'm going to go into our source folder and delete the test, the index CSS. Actually, I can leave it there. The logo, the report, and so on and so on. I'm going to delete all of this. We don't need it. The application will no longer work. So I'm just going to go into our app.js, delete the logo, delete everything that we have in our header. You can also close it up here and just select it and delete it. I'm going to create here h1. Actually, if Emmet isn't showing for you, this is because here React.js is a JS file and you need a JSX file. So just click on it, type in React and JavaScript React, which is then transformed into JavaScript that is actually recognized in React. So h1, and Emmet is now recognizing this, and let's type in here useState, and that's it for this. Now let's go into our index, and from down here we're going to delete everything, and up here we're going to delete the import report because we just deleted it. We don't actually need it, so this is why I'm deleting it. And that's it. Okay, and now it should work. So you should see useState up here. Let me also zoom in a bit. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so useState. What is useState? Well, first of all, let me show you how this would work without using useState. So let's see. We have here a h1, and now let's create an h2. This will be the name. Just type in here name, and then I'm going to create a form. It's not going to have any kind of action, but in that form I'm going to have an input with a type of, actually just going to type here input, type of text, and underneath of this input I'm going to have a button. This is going to have the type of submit, because this button will actually submit this form, and the button will say change name, and that's it. Okay, so we're going to type in here something, click on this, I'm going to change this name. You can already see if I type something in here and click on change name, is refreshing the page. This is because the form is submitting. We're going to stop this by using the on submit, not on mouse, over on submit event, and we're going to pass in here error function, and in that error function we're going to pass in a event, the event itself, and this event will, well, the event is actually submitting, so we're going to prevent the default behavior of this, which is no longer submitting. Okay, you can see it's not refreshing. So let's go above our return. We have here our app function, and it returns this JSX. Now we're going to go up here, tab down, and let's just create a let. So using a variable using the let keyword, I'm going to call this name. I'm just going to initialize it here. Now you know that variables with the let keyword can be changed, so the value can change. So we're going to use our name and assign this the string of Norbert. You can type in whatever you want. You can also type in Norbert BM if you wish. So nothing has changed. I'm going to pass in this variable here. Okay, so I'm going to change this and type in name. You know what? I'm going to copy this and leave this as name because I do want you to have the entire code is down in the description, so you can just copy and paste it if you mess something out, or just follow along as whatever you wish. But I do want to have this in so you can check out the code later on. So I just passed in the variable name. You can see it's already changing. If I would delete this, hit save again, it's changing. Okay, so we want to be able, let me just type in Norbert. So we want to be able to change this name by typing here another name. So basically we're going to change data in our application. We're going to change the variable's value using our input tag. So how can we do this using regular JavaScript? Well, we need to type in something here, and this information will be submitted using the change name button here. Okay, so this form will submit some kind of information, and this information is going to change the value of this variable. So let's start down here by creating a onClick event, and this event will then execute the change. Okay, so this is what this click should do. So this execute change will be actually a function. So function and execute change, and let's pass in. Let's first of all check the change. So let's see if this works. I'm going to console log here name. Okay, so the string of name. Let's open up, right click on the project, open up the console. What are you doing here? So if I click on this change name, I should see console log the string of name. Let's change this. Let's change this to click. Okay, so I should see here down here a console log of click. So click and click. Perfect. This is working. So when I'm clicking on this button, this form is submitting and it's console logging this click. Okay, let's move on. Now we want to, I'm actually going to go above our, now let me leave this in. I'm going to now create a const, another variable. I'm going to call this input, and let's assign this. Let's go to the document. Now we need to grab something from the down. I'm going to grab onto the input. So I'm going to create a variable with the name of const. The name will be a variable type constant. I'm going to assign the name of the input. I'm going to go to the document, query selector. I'm going to select the input tag. So there's only one input tag in the entire page. This is why I'm going to select it using its tag name, not an ID and not a class. So we have our input tag. If you wish, you can also console log it. Basically, yeah, it's actually better if I do this. So I'm going to console log the input as soon as I click on this. So input, there we go. There's our input tag. Now this is the element, so I want to get its value. So let's type in something here, blah, blah, and let's console log the dot value of this. So if I click now here, I should get the blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's type in something else. Norbert, and you can type in your own name. Okay, now I'm console logging Norbert. Perfect. Now what I want to do is actually grab onto this value and assign it to a new variable. So const new name will be equal to the input dot value. You already saw that we can grab onto the value of the input. So now we're going to store this information in a new variable. And now I could change the name variable that I defined up here. This is in global scope. This is in local scope. On the scope of this constant is only in this function. So what I could do now is take the name and assign it the new name variable. Basically, if I now console log name, I should get click and Norbert, and let's change this to Norbert BM, and there we go. We're console logging Norbert BM. So from here, from the name, I'm going to comment this one out, and there we go. Okay, so from the line, let's see, 14, we're console logging Norbert BM. Now, what happens if I return from this function the name? Hit save, submit, and Norbert BM is still console logged, but the variable wasn't changed. Okay, so we could actually, within this function, go ahead and grab on from the document using query selector to that h2. You only have one h2. The other one is actually commented out. And now I'm going to change this inner HTML to the name variable. Because within this scope, the name has changed to Norbert BM. So now if I submit this Norbert should change to Norbert BM. And there we go. We just changed it. Now this is a bit complicated, and this is actually what useState solves. useState will make my life much easier. That is why we're upgrading technology constantly, so our lives get easier. Now let's go ahead and actually use our useState hook. For this, we first need to import, you can see up here, import within curly brackets, because this will be a function actually, useState from our React library. Okay, not the React DOM, but the React library. Okay, it's grayed out because we are not using it right now, but down here, actually, should I comment this out? No, let's just type in here comment JavaScript, and this will be React useState. So we're going to change this name variable using our useState hook. Now, before you even start using useState, you should know the structuring. The structuring means basically pulling out information from an object, from a string, and assigning it to variables. I think I'll also have a destructuring video. I'm going to link it down in the description below. Now, let's go to, we already have useState imported. How can we use useState? The way you can use useState is simply creating a const and then open and close square brackets. Within here, you are going to create two elements. The first element will be the initial value, for example, as we have it up here, of the state. So let's go ahead and call this new name. The second element will be the setter. Basically, the second element will be the function, as we have it up here, that would manipulate this variable up here. Okay, exactly the same thing that we did up here. We created a function that manipulates this variable. Okay, this is just a naming convention. It will always be called set and then exactly the name of the first variable. So set new and name. Okay, so we have our const, we have our curly brackets, we have our two elements here. Now we're going to assign them to the useState, open close parenthesis, hook. Now I'm going to comment out this h2. First I'm going to copy it, paste it, comment it out. I'm going to replace it with new name. And take a look up here after I save, Norbert just disappeared. Now Norbert is in here, but it has no state. It has no value. So in useState, you can assign a value to this variable. For now, you can also assign here 0 and 0 will appear. This is a number, but I could also turn it into a string. Still recognize it as well as input, but I could also type in here Norbert. Once again, we have our Norbert back. Now let me go to components. We have our app component. If you click on it and scroll down, you will see it has a hook, and the hook is a useState hook, and the value of the state is Norbert. If I change it to Norbert within the state, okay, Norbert BM, hit save, you will see down here is changed. Now take a look up here and click in your hook, delete BM, and you will see the state changing. And I can see that I can actually manipulate this from in the application itself. So this is what we're actually trying to do. We tried here to manipulate our state, our variable within the function, and here we're going to manipulate it using useState. Now we have here our set name, which is actually a function. This function will change the state or the value of this variable. Now this is a bit different than what I did here, or I could actually do it the same way, but I want to show you another way, which we actually couldn't use here. Within our input, I'm going to use another event listener called onChange. Now the onChange event listener will listen for a change in the event of this input tag. When a change happens, then you're going to change, change the name. Now you will also see, and this is actually a pretty good convention when you're getting started, you'll always see the event here assigned to a function that is going to be called a handler. So handle change name, for example, because this will actually handle the events, because this will actually handle this event. Now let's go up here, and now I'm going to create another function, but I'm going to use const. I'm going to call this, as we called it down here, handle change name, and I'm going to assign it to a arrow function. Okay, now within this function, I am actually going to pass in the event. So e, because we need something from this event, we need to, I'm going to just console log here, the event.target.value. Okay, so now let's go back to the console, change it to the console. If I start typing in here something, you'll see s, no matter what I type in here, this is now console logging the change. Now remember, the variable is now assigned from the useState. The first variable is assigned in the h2. This handler should now change the state of the variable, but for this we need to set its new state. So this is why we're going to use the set new state variable function. So set new state, or set new name, actually I could call it set new state. So set new name will change this into whatever I pass in here. If I just pass in here Laura and I click on, and just need to change something in here, then it's already changed to Laura. You can see. Let me just refresh. Whatever I pass in here, this function will execute the setNewName function from here. Okay. So if whatever I press, G is going to set to Laura. Now I can type further along in here, but it's not going to change the name. So what we can do, I'm actually going to leave this in here, comment it out, leave this in here, comment it out, and now set new name. And what are we going to pass in here? Well, we're going to pass in the e.target.value as the new state. So let's see what will happen. I'm just going to refresh it. If I pass in here Laura, ba-bam, and you can see we don't need to change. We don't need our change button anymore. And boom, and we just change the name. So this is what useState actually does. It changes the value, or it stores values, and you can manipulate those values by changing them using the second function of the useState. So first is the value, then the setter is new value. Now I am working on a complete React course, and you will see a bunch of examples here. You can actually change values in an array, in objects, combine objects, and so forth and so on. So hope this makes useState clearer for you. I actually got a comment from a user on a previous video on my create a countdown timer using React, and I'm going to link this video to him now as an answer, because I think this makes things much clearer. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down. If you have any kind of questions or suggestions for future videos, please leave them in the comment section below. Again, the code for the entire video is down in the section below. It is on my blog, so you can just copy and paste it in, and I have a bunch of projects. So with this being said, catch you on the flip side. Bye-bye.